Once upon a time, there was a small, wandering child, a child so alone and lost in this world, without parents she remembered or a home to call her own. She moved from place to place, begging where she could, and, through the kindness of some, made a small living for herself. But her feet were broken and sore from her wanderings, the skin rough and torn with calluses on her toes from walking. So she began to make. She gathered pinches and pieces of silk thrown out by a rich woman, and wood for heels. She sewed and fashioned and glued, with pig's glue a farmer had given her, until she had made a pair of her very own red shoes. She was very proud of her red shoes. She was very proud of this first thing she'd made for herself, and for all the time and care she had taken to make them. It made walking much easier, and her feet began to heal. They gave her happiness even, a feeling she hardly knew and a feeling she liked very much. They were, perhaps, the ugliest, most badly made shoes ever made, but they were hers. They were her red shoes.
The Old Woman.
Who's that girl? That girl down there.
A beggar child. A lonely thing.
Stop the carriage. Bring the child to me.
Let the child see how big and golden these places can seem. To step inside the carriage and cast out to sea all notions of starving and scraping for life, and chaos and hunger and years spent in strife. For the lonely little beggar child, comfort begins in a carriage of golden built for a king.
What's your name, child? Step inside. Sit by me here.
Sit still, child. Don't fidget. Sit upright in here.
Have you no home, no mother? No place to call your own? No father, no brother? Come with me inside my carriage, and I'll take you with me. With my good deeds and kindness, you'll be pleased with me, dear. You'll be fed every day. You'll be fed till you're full. You'll be fed till you're happy, dear, shiny and new. You wait how you'll eat now. You wait how you'll feed.
All your days of starving are over. All your days of fight from need
are ended, little girl. You'll be pleased with me at home.
You'll be happy in that corner, no longer alone.
So the little girl stepped inside the carriage and was taken back by the stiff old woman to a place to call home. The coachman places paper on the floor where she treads. The coachman lifts her from the carriage and turns his head from the stench. She's going to be washed and scrubbed clean before she can tread inside the house so splendid it looks like a palace to her tiny unfed self.
Look, she's sitting in the corner.
All whitewashed and clean.
Her hair is golden now.
Her clothes are all white.
She looks up to say a word.
And is stopped in one slight.
Be silent, little orphan girl. Be silent and still. Isn't it good to be taken in? Shh. Lucky to be fed. Aren't you grateful to be living here? To be placed in your bed? Happy to eat so well. Pleased to be safe. Thankful to be so silent, precious and chaste.
Where are my shoes?
Where are my shoes?
What shoes?
My shoes.
Were they shoes?
Yes, they were shoes.
Those rags on your feet?
They weren't rags. They were my shoes. My red shoes.
Oh, they've gone.
Where? Where have they gone?
They were thrown out with the rest.
The rest?
The rest of your rags. The rest of your stuff.
She threw them away. They're not here anymore.
Why would you want them all tattered and torn?
They were ugly and smelling and full of dry rot.
Now leave me alone. I've got good wood to chop.
The little girl looks down at her white stockinged legs. She looked down at her pleated skirt and her little velvet stool. She looks at all she has and then turns back to look at him. but the coachman turns away.
So she ran to her room and stayed there all day.
Inside the shoemaker's shop, so close to home, the poor little orphaned girl is told to have none but the greying, ugly, browning shoes, all faded and done, in country walks and rainy days, with nowhere for fun.
No, I want the red shoes,
said the little red girl in the shoemaker's shop.
What about the nicey pair?
No, I don't want the nicey pair. I want the red shoes.
What about these? These look comfortable and warm and made for you, dear.
No, the others are dull and grey and brown or white. The others are dull and stupid and all lined up. The others are not what I want.
The shoemaker moved towards her. The shoemaker stood between the little girl and the old woman. The shoemaker burned with his eyes and rubbed his fingers and began to sell. To sell to the little runaway child and the old curled-up woman. He smelt her want, and he buried his sparkling eyes into the woman's purse and took the red shoes down from the shelf for the young girl to touch and feel and handle. No sooner had she touched them than the agony of possessing them became unbearable.
Here, these grey shoes are nice.
But the little girl was turning the shoes over and over in her hands.
Can I try them on?
She said. The old woman looked closely at the shoes as her eyesight was failing and old. How red are they? She asked.
How red are they?
She said, how red are they?
They are the faintest, shallowest, gentlest shade of red. So faint,
The shoemaker said,
that you could almost call them grey.
And he turned to wink one of his large black eyes at the small orphaned girl.
Almost grey, you say?
almost grey.
And he spun and turned and winked again.
They look a bit red to me.
Only in a bright light. Only in the light of day.
Well, perhaps...
Oh, please, 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 please.
The shoemaker snapped them up, placed the burning shoes in acres of tissue, and laid them quickly, neatly, precisely, into their box. A special price for you, my lovelies.
A special price for you.
And they'll be worn on Sunday when you go to be confirmed, and not before.
Sitting away from the corner of the day, shut in a place with plaits instead of hair, washed and cleaned and tidied, and told to have no cares, but stillness and quiet is all that she should know, all placed within the household now, so silently to grow,
with good concern and manners,
And pleasures only theirs.
and neat and tidy, well-combed passions,
And a night that never stirs
her into looking and wanting something she'll miss, something special and roaring and more than just this.
You can put your shoes on. Here are your shoes. Put them on your feet. Yes, yes, quickly now. Today you are going to church to be accepted into God's holy arms, to watch over you always and keep you from all harm. The sweet Lord will take you and hold you warm and hold you for always from bad, ugly things. It is an important day for you here. Stop looking at those shoes. You are going to be confirmed today and accepted into his house. There now, aren't you pleased? Aren't you happy? Happy to be chosen, pulled off the street.
The little girl looked up and stared, and nodded wildly without hope of understanding the old woman's need to have her standing quietly and pleased. She looked again at her shiny red shoes that whispered pleasure above all that she knew. To have possession of her red shoes once more, to have possession of all she adored. The spinning and kicking and jumping that followed angered the woman as she looked down in horror. Be still, little girl, be silent and quiet. Now go wait outside and climb into the carriage that will take you to church and clean you away from the streets and wandering you knew in that way, that is heathen and ugly, untamed and wild, and does harm to the land and a tiny girl child, that is too young to know the great price in being wild and wanton and begging for a living. The church will take its golden hand and place you safely in love and lamb, and hold you fast from those ugly days when you lived by nothing but nasty ways.
Look at my shoes. Look at my red shoes. Look at my shoes, my dancing shoes. If you turn them this way, then that, and this way, and that then, and this way. You turn them here, and there, and there, and here. Look at my shoes, my red shoes. You turn them this way, then that way, and this, and that way, and this. Look at my shoes, my red shoes. You turn them, and turn them, and turn them this way, and that way, and this. This way, and that way, and this. My shoes, my red shoes.
When the townspeople told the old woman that the little red girl was wearing red shoes to her confirmation, the old woman became enraged. She made her swear that she would never, ever wear the shoes again. But the red shoes glistened inside her thoughts, inside her fingers, her toes, her legs, her young flesh, like twirling pomegranates or freshly picked plums. Each moment of every day, of every night, of every dusk, she ached and ached for her succulent red shoes. The next Sunday, she wore the shoes to church again. In the doorway stood the shoemaker, his flaming hair blowing in the wind. He was humming to himself, absent-mindedly moving his foot from side to some inaudible song. As the old woman passed, he asked if he could brush the dust off the little girl's shoes. As he bent down, he whispered quietly, secretly, nervously, sacredly, over the shoes, ripening like autumn berries, he breathed a burning, turning spell, a hurly-burly slither of sulphur falling from his passionless lips over her twilight shoes. They seemed to darken to a deeper, hardened red, like parting lips, painted carefully, slowly, sacredly, for a first ball, her first dance.
Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time sparing. Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time to be.
Inside the church, the small town creed turned with anger and stared. For daring to insult them, the church, the town, with her burning red shoes. But again she did not see them. All she did was turn her heels to the left and to the right as she gazed at them like red falling fruit, glowing in the church light through its painted windows and guarding saints. Evil fluttering its gentle hand over gossips and stares and the embittered thoughts for outsiders and wild things. She sat, turning her shoes over and over without hearing a word of the sermon, a thought for God's words and their tidy Christian thoughts. The shoemaker was standing at the door of the church. He watched the old woman as she passed. He watched the girl. He watched the coachman move away and walk down the hill to the carriage. He watched them until they were almost out of sight. Then, just before they disappeared, he broke off from his humming and shouted after them. My, what pretty dancing shoes! The little girl leapt in the air. She spun around and took a step to the left and a step to the right, behind her, in front of her, and 2 steps to the left. She spun and twisted and waltzed. She laughed and danced across the field. The coachman ran after her, grabbed her, and tried to hold her down. He took her twisting and turning back into the carriage, with the shoes spinning and dancing in the air. They fought to take the shoes off, pulling and tugging at them before the shoes would finally surrender the feet. The old woman made her swear over and over that she would never, ever wear the shoes again. The little girl promised over and over that she would never wear the shoes again. But she said it through tears and clean hands and pleats and plaits and whitewashed thoughts and stealing. Then the old woman fell ill. Quietly, she opens the cupboard.
Secretly.
She takes them down from the shelf.
Nervously.
She opens the box, unwraps layer and layer of gentle tissue, and takes them, holds them, burning out of their box.
Secretly.
She ties them onto her feet. She turns and twirls and laughs. She dances to the left and to the right. She dances through the day and through the light. She dances further and further to the beginnings of night. She turns to go back, but the shoes turn another way. She turns to the right, but the shoes turn to the left. She turns to go home, but the shoes turn to go on. She tries to take them off. She bent down and tried to grab them, but the shoes twisted and ran with her. She grabbed a heel, but it pulled away. She grabbed a side, but she could not, as they would not come free. And her little heart filled with dread. The shoes were leading the feet, and all she could have had and all she could have been were taken screaming, dancing into wherever the shoes would have her go, and whatever the shoes would have her do, and whoever the shoes would have her see. The shoes were leading the dance.
The marriage.
She came to a field with a boy in it.
A boy with gleaming red hair and hands that felt like suns.
Stay a moment, he said, so I can love and want and
hold you.
So we can build our time together.
Place our world
in houses and homes and all things safe and good and stable and secure and full of children and all things solid.
All things solid.
She tosses and turned and danced with him and tasted the length of their safety, the hope of their long secured days, a tiny moment of happiness, a pure moment of home, of life, of warmth, wife, mothers, parents, of place.
They talked about loving, they talked about home, they danced through their wedding night and sheltered their own.
But in the morning, the sun shook him and weakened his resolve to dance with her always and never be shown that he could not hold on to her. He tired of her kisses, his hands that felt like suns, tired from the night of dancing and bliss. He opened his arms, his hands, his fingers, each one by one, to the very last moments of touching. And she was gone.
The fields.
She came to a field full of noise, a field full of babies bubbling and laughing, walking towards her with their hands open and grasping, smiling and crying as they reached for her belly and crawled round her feet, jumping at her shoes, shining with their bodies, beautiful and new.
The mothers arrived, sweating and tired, to collect the children from the long, aching day, fastening each child with leads of elastic to their bellowing waists and worn-out ways.
For killers,
a mother explained, tying up a giggling, laughing, rolling one.
For killers.
There are killers everywhere, amongst the trees, in the wood, next to the river, next to the lake.
Deep in the cities and with tales full of hate.
They're on the corner, next to the shops, gathered under streetlights.
In corners and alleys where nightmares never stop.
But they're also in the forests, under the dark pines.
Where the worst killers come bloodthirsty, up from the mines.
In the forest there are big things, tall, huge and horrid. My mother says they'll chop you into small grains of porridge. My mother says they'll cook you with syrup and salt. Then they'll eat you and swallow you and won't feel to fault.
The egg.
In the middle of the night, the thunder began. It had brewed out in the middle of the ocean.
A child forgetting the time, forgetting the place, forgetting the rhyme and sitting in place at a breakfast table, late for tea, had smiled and laughed and left home early, with an eggshell still good and sturdy, eaten all the boiled hard within, but left intact for a witch to spin and sink and take to the bottom of the sea, to brew a storm for you and me, and the little red dancing girl, burnt and sore and in a twirl, for long and raining running days, and burning shoes and endless haze, and pain from swollen bones and aching limbs, and now a storm to bring more in, from a breakfast morning selfish child who forgot to break his shell inside.
Out in the ocean the storm was brewed by a witch at the bottom of the sea. In the eggshell she sailed down below to lick the sea into a swell large enough to sink a ship and fierce enough to reach the land and blow its terror into the night and darken ways with sinking fright. Too hard and long the storm begins, and bites and burns and yells and spins.
Dance through the forest large and black, with terror burnt across her back, across her neck and across the ground, through pine-filled darkness and wretched sound.
In the night she ran along the sides of the wolves, that snapped at her heels and chased around her, that howled beneath her footsteps, that paced in the shadows until she was lost and lonely.
And one of the pack, one of the wants, one of the stolen things, and one of the huts The wolves growl and bite. The wolves run next to her, filled with their spite. They change and grow, turn their ears, their head, their no, to smelly, dirty, war-filled dogs, touched by their killing and glories lost.
A tree of dogmen howling in the wind, howling and howling and waiting for a feed. They jumped behind her and in front, these dogmen, full of war.
They took our land. They took our field. And how we made them regret their steel. Regret their thieving. Regret their lies. Regret their ravaged baby ties.
The hands were rough and grasping, no laws within, no tender stay, no regard for her shaken limbs and her small-boned body, her thinning skin, her aching, empty face, her long-lost stay.
Have you seen the city down there? The city of dread, the city of fear, full of screams and panic and naked terror, with poppies for eyes and poppies for hands. We made them pay, we made them scared, with nothing but littered living and barren despair. Here we stand with the open hand of God, to allay your fears, to soothe your feet, to dance with you through the night, and lay our naked fists against your shiny, naked skin. Here we stand with the open hand of God. We'll dance with you. We'll dance with you till you're raw.
Their mouths were full of hate, their burnt lives full of revenge. Into dying days and rotting flesh and cocks full of war, she caught the howling night and lust in their bellies and pain in her sides. Deep in the forest, a tiny war begins. They pulled her to the ground, and she heaved and rolled and danced the shoes. And they held her, but she turned, and 6, 7, 8 tied her to the floor, but still the shoes pulled and pulled and pulled for fear.
Dance, little girl, dance. While there's still time searching, dance, little girl, dance. While there's still time to be.
She's got the devil inside her. She's got something inside her. Hold her. Still. She keeps moving.
Run, little girl, run. While there's still time dancing, run, little girl, run. While there's still time to be.
Well, hit her. Hit her then.
Still.
Hit her. Hit her. Hit her. Hit her. Hit her.
They hit her. She fell. But the shoes kicked, burnt and yelled. They hit her and pulled her down. But the shoes turned and spun and danced and ran her round. Through the night they pulled and tugged and roared and spun and found themselves
lost.
For the first time
On their knees.
on their knees with her spins and turns and horrors of the wind and terrors of the night. They felt her terror, caught the devil inside her, tasted the possessed, and heard the screaming night baked in her flesh. They held her waist and touched the very soul of despair,
Possessed
and anger, and hate, and chaos, and envy, and all that is rotten in a place so deprived of love and freedom and life.
Of love and freedom and life.
At the end of that time, they could not, would not hold on to her, the dogmen of war, and she falling through their arms, their hands, their fingers, and to the very last grasp. Look at the city down there, with eyes full of grieving and hearts full of fear. See the ruin the soldiers made, with dog-filled thieving and righteous way.
Is God with you?
Do you have him with you?
Have you seen him?
Where did you see him last?
Does he watch over us?
Is somebody watching over us?
Will he keep us safe from the soldiers tonight?
Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time sparing. Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time to be.
And the little girl turned and ran from the fear-filled city, and eyes full of none but the chastened few, the families left behind in dog-torn, war-filled streets, with nothing left to bind.
Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time sparing. Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time to be.
The flood.
Sobbing and wailing waves of tides, and tides of grieving, pulling their waste, their lives, into rivers and broken banks, speeding its revenge, its hate, into every single stolen life taken in war.
Wash away every house, every piece of land. Wash away. Wash away. Every spell of owning property. Property in its glistening, greedy hands.
I clean the city through each of its stolen nights. The river says, the flooding says. With my thick, black tongue, gliding its thieving thoughts over a park, a tree, a garden, a house, a church, a steeple, a tower.
Clean with my thick black tongue, gliding
over a dog, a cat, a baby, a child, a woman, a daughter, a son, a care.
Over every open mouth, here gasping for air. Every sinned thing in my long, drowning tongue of despair.
Girl, run, while there's still time sparing. Run, little girl, run, while there's still time to be.
The river with its broken banks slides its ugly heart across the city, taking all their tears, all their cries into forgetful, dark waters. It rushed around the red girl's waist, pulled her deep within its splitting mouth and black ravaged ways.
she thought.
Drown me, end my dreadful spinning days. Forget me, forget me.
Never remember, never remember, never remember, never remember.
But still the shoes spun and turned in the water and made out for life. The thick water, unable to pull them into its belly and bed, they spun and danced above the waters. The red girl, unable to sink into peaceful, forgetful ways of death, carrying her out of the city, past the gates, and into other fields and open plains, washed up in a sea of blue cornfields, and near to a house that reminded her of home. The home of the small town creed, where she had first danced. She passed by the shoemaker's shop, the streets, the windows.
She danced through the streets, pale from within, with twitching net curtains and eyes on her sin.
In the houses of rumour, with its open doors and rushing winds.
Into the tidy town of Little Town Creed, in gentle nasty words, bitten with greed, her dust rags whispering past gossips and stares, concerned looks and vicious talk full of her cares.
She passed by here, that red shoe girl. I saw her, it was dusk, but she was still curving and dancing like that. Her face was all dirty, her clothes were all torn.
She's dead, you know. The old woman. She's dead.
She's dead. Died in the middle of the night. Of a broken heart, they say. She's dead. Died. Gone.
Dead? You say she's dead?
Dead. Dead. Died in the night.
Closing her heart, alone and bereft.
You gave her meaning.
You gave her life.
Eaten on empty.
Wronged was her plight.
I will go to bed early. I will always pray. I will be good. I will be good, and never see the light of day. I will go to bed early. I will always pray. I will be good. I will be good, and never see the light of day. With long-drawn ties that pull us to earth, to keep us still, and never to be heard, and never to be seen, and never to be born, and never to be loved, and never to be spurned, and never shouted from way up high, that today in fear I learnt to cry, I learnt to hold, I learnt to care, and move in places of blistered dare. In the sky so dark I taste of fear, the smell of freedom written here, that touched the skin and burnt the flesh, in want that grabs and never rests.
The funeral begins. The little red dancing girl stands near the church, dancing and spinning and aching for a chance to stand upon that holy ground and cry with the others from the little creed town. An angel by the door would not, could not let her in. She reaches out her hand, and he withdraws from her sin.
The mountains.
The shoes carried her through the night, and way up, high, to colder lands. Higher and higher the shoes they run, pulling her nearer to the sun, aching through her soul and breath, through every moving, glowing thing left. Onto the mountains, harsh and raw, by raining, running, ruining shoes, still wanting more. Loss and longing, swept like an ice wind at the summit, longing for home, longing to breathe warmth back into the fallen soul, a heartless, dreadful, beautiful place, the thinning snow covering every loss, every thought, every friend, every feet, and fallen climb in bodies laid in ice, breath like a distant scream blowing through every slice of ambition here. The bodies lie at 2,000 feet, at 3, at 4, at 5.
They all go down there, don't they? They all fall. Them that climb too quickly, too fast, too high down there. Down they go, down to the bottom, with nothing to show.
The old woman laughed a long, aching laugh that sunk into the little girl's stomach and made her run like a thief and turn faster away from the frightening old woman and all she could say. She looked down at the old woman's feet. Her ancient legs were crippled and swollen, her limbs bulbous and sore, with nothing but
wood
for legs and ankles,
wood
for bones and feet, wood left from old dancing nights, from greedy feet and restless rites.
Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time sparing. Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time to be.
The red girl looked down at her hands, and they had withered away. She looked down at her arms and legs and body. They had withered and twisted through her spinning days. She was old as her sin. Her flesh was in tatters, hanging to her bones in whispered skin.
Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time sparing. Dance, little girl, dance, while there's still time to see.
The woodcutter.
The snow fell like kisses from heaven on her broken lips, her broken arms, broken limbs of grief. The executioner's door was open, with white footsteps drawn across winter's gate. His hands were big, his thoughts were simple. The axe was sharp and free of the guilty.
Take them off. Take them away from me. Take them away from me.
The shoes snapped and turned and would not be removed from her feet.
Cut them then. Cut the leg, the ankle. Take it. Just take it. Let the shoes have my feet. Let them have them. Just set me free. Set me free.
But the shoes went on dancing through the trees, through the hills, through the mountains, over the snow, and down to the darkened river below, with the little red stumps bleeding on as they go.
Some say they can still see them through the trees at night, on the mountains in morning, in the crisp early light, in blood across the snow where no one's tread, flickering through forests, full of the dread that new shoes can bring to aching young feet, and lives lost and empty for something to meet the great aching agony of the hole deep within, and ride our lives dangerously through dancing with sin, for trying to hide all the things we most want in good shoes and pleats that end the great hunt for something that must be more than just this, and end our lives in dreadful, gorged bliss.
In The Red Story by Hattie Naylor, the narrator was played by Roddy Maude-Roxpy and the Red Girl by Joanna Froggatt. The old woman was Sarah Badel, the shoemaker, Brian Parr, the coachman, Gavin Muir. The chorus were Rachel Atkins, Lee Lyford, Judy Flynn and Martin Parr. The music was composed by Polly Hewett and performed by Charles Knights, Marius Stravinsky, Leonie Adams and Katono Sato. The Red Story was a peer production for BBC Radio 4 and directed by Celia de Wolff.
BBC Radio 4, the news at 3 o'clock. A majority of family doctors say they're